Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 206, The Revelation of the Seven Seasons, Part 6. The podcast objectives are analyze the parable of the wedding feast, reveal the last safe space on earth, reveal the timing of the judgment of the land of Israel, and analyze the purpose of the restoration of the land of Israel. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. The Wedding Feast. Now, in the most recent podcast, we established the purpose of the day of Yahuwah, i.e., the fifth of the seven seasons in these last days. The purpose? To execute the greatest depopulation of man in the history of the world. This depopulation is in line with the overarching objective of these last days. That is, to prepare the earth for the reign of Yahushua, Messiah. And those who will perish are those who fail to qualify themselves to participate in this reign when they have the chance. Now, I have consistently used the parable of the darnel of the field to illustrate this pending reality. Notwithstanding, our loving master offered many parables which speak directly to the make or break nature of these last days. Matthew 22, 1 through 14 reads, And Yahushua responded and spoke to them again by parables and said, The reign of the heavens is like a man, a sovereign who made a wedding feast for his son, and sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Then he said to his servants, The wedding feast indeed is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore, go into the street corners, and as many as you find, invite to the wedding feast. And those servants went out into the street corners and gathered all whom they found, both wicked and good. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. And when the sovereign came in to view the guests, he saw there a man who had not put on a wedding garment. And he said to him, Friend, how did you come in here not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then the sovereign said to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, take him away, and throw him out into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. The last safe space on earth. Now, this may seem like cruel and unusual punishment. That is, if you fail to appreciate what the wedding garment is symbolic of. Consider the following point of interest, and it should be clear to see. The wedding garment in this parable is symbolic of the seal of Elohim. And the parable of the wedding garment, like the parable of the darnel of the field, is transpiring in these last days. Thus, we conclude those who do not possess the seal of Elohim in these last days are as the man without a wedding garment in this parable. And what was his fate? Did he enter into everlasting life? Of course not. And that, my friends, is the key to understanding this passage. It is why our loving master ends this parable with a reminder saying, many are called, but few are chosen. Here's a question. Where does the master take those who are chosen for the wedding feast in these last days? The answer, the renewed land of Israel. This is a key finding, for there are three primary stops the chosen elect will make between now and our inheritance of everlasting life. 1, the renewed land of Israel. 2, the millennial kingdom. And 3, the judgment. Now, here's our first treasure box in this lesson. The next major milestone in the lives of all who have been chosen is entering the renewed land of Israel. This major milestone corresponds to season 6 in these last days, i.e., the restoration of the land of Israel. The fact that the focus of this season is restoration reveals the land must be renewed before the chosen elect can dwell there. Now it's time for a revelation. The land of Israel will experience great ruin and devastation prior to the 6th season in these last days. The destruction will be so bad that the land will remain largely unpopulated until season 6. In that season, the Father will miraculously restore the land, making it like the Garden of Eden. Remember, the world as a whole will suffer terrific ruin during the Great Distress. And much of it will be fueled by a devastating nuclear war. This speaks to how vital it will be for us to get into this land during this season, for it will be the last safe space on earth. 2 nations to stay away from. Notwithstanding, timing is everything as it pertains to our journey to the land of Israel. As I said before, that land will be devastated during the Great Distress. Here's why this is important. The same way everyone who is in Mystery Babel will be cut off at the time of her destruction, everyone who is in the land of Israel at the time of her destruction will also perish. Now it's time for our next revelation. The land of Israel will experience judgment during the same season as Mystery Babel, i.e., the 4th season in these last days. Trust me, we will analyze all the scriptures that prove this matter in future podcasts. What you need to know at this time is sure, and I will offer it as another interest point. I advise you to consider it faithfully. There are 2 nations that will experience devastation to the point where they will not be inhabited: Mystery Babel and the land of Israel. And both will suffer this fate during the 4th season in these last days. For that reason, these are the 2 nations you want to stay away from, especially as you see that season approaching. This renewal will begin. Now, this is where the time factor comes into play, for we have already established that the land of Israel is one of 3 stops we must make between now and our inheritance of everlasting life. The question of the hour is simply when? When should we journey to the land of Israel? The answer, during season 6, specifically after the restoration of the land of Israel. As you can see by the timeline below, the land of Israel will not be restored until season 6. Therefore, there will be a full season in which the land is ruined and desolate. This is where the spirit factor comes into play. Vis-a-vis, we will not know when the land of Israel is restored. Quite the contrary, the restoration will occur as we are led by the Spirit into this land. This speaks to the reality that the quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life is a faith walk. 2 Corinthians 5:7 clearly states, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." Therefore, those of us who are being led by the Spirit and walking by faith will hear the call. The Father will let us know when it is time to initiate our journey into this land, not a moment too soon, nor a moment too late. This speaks to the heart of the matter and the purpose of this crucial season. To wit, the purpose of the restoration of the land of Israel is to provide the chosen elect with a flourishing home in the midst of a desolate earth. Remember, 6 billion people will die prior to the season, and not for arbitrary reasons. They will die in large part because the earth became toxic as a result of nuclear war, natural disasters, global pandemics, and many other ills. Nevertheless, we know the Father's will is to renew the earth prior to the millennial kingdom. And he will. And this renewal will begin with the restoration of the land of Israel. It's going to be a good time, and a good time to be going home. Now, here is the final word. The 6th step in surviving these last days is being present at the restoration of the land. You must believe me, this is one of the most critical aspects of surviving these last days, especially for those who persist beyond the great distress. The whole earth will be decimated. Mankind as a whole will be devastated. As I said before, men, women, and children will be dying so quickly, very many will not even be buried. Their dead bodies will casually lie on the ground. This is how bad off our world will be. The face of the earth will be a vast graveyard, and every nation a burial site for those who did not obtain the seal of Elohim. Notwithstanding, while these sinners are perishing by more than 10 million each day, the Spirit will lead us to the last safe space left in the earth. He will lead us to the renewed land of Israel. There we will thrive and flourish. Never again will we pine away or roam. For the days of our sojourning will be over, and very soon we will be gathered home. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 206, The Revelation of the Seven Seasons, Part 6. And our next podcast is entitled End Times 207, The Revelation of the Seven Seasons, Part 7. I will post this podcast on Monday, August 14th, 2023. Until then, my friends, Continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch. Continue to pray. Continue in fasting. And most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.